having the highest potential and making it competitive. But I am no boxer, and I don't really consider Usyk to be a complete fighter. I think the world knows what would happen if we were locked in the same room.
And we have now Zuffa, yeah. Maybe Dana and His Excellency make me offer, but why not?
Looking for this last dance, when is that something that you are earmarking in terms of date-wise that you would want to get back into the ring?
Maybe last this year's, maybe next.
Next year?
Yes, maybe next year, maybe last December, you know. We work about it.
Yeah.
Jon Jones has finally broken his silence on why he shut down a fight with Oleksandr Usyk, but in doing so, he fired shots at the boxing star, claiming he does not view him as a complete fighter.
I really consider Usyk to be a complete fighter. I think the world knows what would happen if we were locked in the same room. And I'll just leave it at that.
Gotcha. So definitely MMA you would be interested, but boxing you're going to pass.
I'm gonna pass. Yeah,
Right.
The way I respect him in the ring, also I'm aware that he does wrestling, and that wrestling has been a heavy part of his training for many years. It's probably why he's so dominant in the clinch. If he'd like to test his total combat skills, I would oblige him in that. But to handicap myself by only using my hands, I mean, that's not the world that I come from.
After dropping his belts and declaring his last dance, all eyes are now on Usyk's next move, with a shocking revelation that his final fight could take place under the Zuffa boxing banner.
For me, he has one fight. I don't think he'll have more than one fight. I think that'll be it. It'll be under Zuffa boxing, and it probably will be Deontay Wilder, which is why we saw Derek Chisora fishing in Moscow for another big fight.
Yeah. At a time when speculation over Usyk's next opponent is at its peak, Usyk confirms joining Zuffa boxing and even reveals the venue for his last dance, further sparking fresh excitement.
Is going around at the moment that you've signed for Zuffa.
First, my last dance, it's USA, maybe New York, stadium. It's big name. You know, it's last dance for me is like signed for stop my athletes sport career. What I do, you know, just moving or athlete, husband, father, and crazy Alexander.
In his latest interview, Usyk did not just reveal the venue for his last dance, but also the names he is considering, sending the buzz around his next fight to another level.
Greedy Belly, Evander, Deontay Wilder.
Would they be the two?
Yeah.
Have you had any contact with either of them?
We work about this.
Keeping his cards close to his chest.
What happens next is on every boxing fan's radar. But one thing has become clear. Zuffa boxing's takeover has begun, and with Usyk signing on, growing frustration over boxing's traditional belt system is fueling hopes for the blockbuster fights fans have long wanted to see.
And honestly, I think that boxing deserves to have a little humble pie. I think they need to eat a little crow. For far too long, I've seen this sport operated terribly. And Turki Alashek in a couple of years comes in and takes the damn sport over. Y'all did it. Y'all did it to yourself. Really, what people are upset about is this idea of a monopoly in combat sports. A monopoly to where fighters get right? This is always a difficult discussion, but it's one that I think that no one really talks about. I've heard MMA Guru talking about it, fair play to him, but ultimately fans are going to have to decide on what they care about more, which is the matchups they want to see, or not fight or pay, but like negotiation. That's ultimately what you're going to have to decide on matters more to you. And everybody can say, we want fight or pay, but if no one's fighting because they're all holding out for better deals or whatever else, then what's the point of the sport?
With Usyk willing to face Jones, the debate over his next opponent is heating up. Many believe a rematch with Verhoeven makes far more sense after Rico pushed Usyk harder than expected, with many feeling he was far from his best that night. At the same time, the growing gap between Jones and Usyk, both in age and fighting style, is another reason many fans believe that crossover fight may never become reality.
Infinitely more interesting than Usyk Wilder?
No.
Really?
Why do I want to see Jon Jones?
It's more interesting, of course. It's more interesting, of course.
Usyk Wilder, Usyk Verhoeven, Usyk Jones. Rank them.
Boxing, yes?
Yeah.
Wilder, Verhoeven.
Nah, Rico #1. We need some finality to that.
No. What finality? He won.
I'm down to see Rico.
What are you talking about? You won. That was as fugazi of a win as we've ever seen.
Wilder is a
it was an awful stoppage, and he was
fight.
losing on the scorecards.
No. Yeah.
Rico was losing on the scorecards.
Amid all the speculation, the long-awaited showdown with Kabayel now appears to be off the table. Kabayel admitted he understands Usyk's decision and believes it would have been a massive fight if it had happened. Still, he insists he cannot keep waiting for that opportunity. Instead, he wants the biggest fights available, making it clear he has no intention of sitting around until Usyk eventually calls his name.
Crowd behind me, support me. I think every fight in Germany is big. Now, in this time, I think every fight what we make in Germany for the world title is big in Germany. When I fight with Fury, when I fight with AJ, when I fight with another other guy, with I don't know, the winner from Fabi Wortley and Daniel Dubois fight. All fight is big in Germany. We came with all fight in the stadium.
Yeah. Is that what you really want next? Another massive fight in a German stadium?
For me, I say, for me it's no problem. I fight everyone. Now for me it's good, you know. You want Hunter hunting me, you know, but no problem. He can come. I wait. Let's go.
The debate over Usyk's next fight continues to divide the boxing world, and Simon Jordan sees the situation very differently. With Usyk naming more than one possible opponent for his last dance, everyone seems to have their own opinion. Still, many within boxing believe he has earned the right to make that choice. After beating almost every top heavyweight of his era and vacating the titles, they believe the final decision belongs to him alone.
Where are you on those sort of names, Paul?
I'm in the same camp as I was when they mentioned he'd fight Rico in the first place, and it was that for what he's done in the heavyweight division, beating them all, not, as Adam's just said, not once but twice, he's earned a payday fighting if that's what he wants to do and then bow out. I like the way Adam's just said, he's always been very dignified. He's always a real fighting man. He's always, you know, doing it the right way. He's never had any suspicion with any tests or anything like that. He always looks like he's done it the very hard way, and he gives 100% all the time. So bowing out gracefully at the top and allowing other people to fight for them belts, while probably having one more cash-in fight just to sail off into the sunset. I think he's beat everyone, and he's...
Discussing what comes next for Usyk, Gareth A. Davies reveals a fight with Wilder is not the only option, with a rematch against Rico also emerging as a real possibility. He explained that Usyk's decision to vacate the belts has created opportunities across the heavyweight division. With the vacant titles now reshaping the landscape, Davies believes the next few months could completely transform the heavyweight picture and determine the division's new direction.
Could have been emeritus champion with the WBC. They would have offered that to him, and he could have come back at any point. He's going to fight Deontay Wilder, in my view, and maybe a rematch of Rico Verhoeven. We'll get into all of that anyway, but it's opened up the division, and the new era is beginning. With the last battle between AJ and Fury will no doubt take place at some point in the next 5 or 6 months. But the new era is on us, in my view. And when you look at the division right now, I mean, you look at how they stack up. When you look at the belts, the IBF is vacant. Frank Sanchez is 1, Moses is 3, 2's not rated.
Many see this as the start of a new era in boxing, and most have praised Usyk for stepping aside. However, Dave Coldwell believes his decision has exposed a much deeper problem. He argues that boxing's system allows fighters to become champions without actually winning a world title in the ring. Using Kabayel as an example, Coldwell says being elevated to WBC heavyweight champion instead of earning it through a title fight is a disgrace for the sport.
Can't be a world champion if you've never fought for a world title. And a lot of times, this is what happens, you know. So Kabayel, for instance, is going to be, when he's in the ring, he's a WBC heavyweight champion of the world, but he's never won a WBC heavyweight world championship fight. I don't like that. I still think it should be right. Okay, the interim or whatever against the next challenger.
No, fight for the vacant title. You are spot on.
Fight for the vacant. 100%.
And they fight the nearest challenger who's available.
Yeah. I don't see why there should be this celebration.
I completely agree with you.
With Jones showing no interest in facing Usyk, and Usyk naming Fury and Wilder as possible opponents for his last dance, the debate has only intensified. Particularly, Usyk has repeatedly reaffirmed his desire to fight Wilder, and it shows the former champion still carries major drawing power. But Simon Jordan questions whether Usyk is truly serious about making that fight happen, arguing Wilder's star power is no longer what it once was.
Deontay Wilder is a shot force, which he is, by the way. But they won't remember.
Do you think he's being serious, Paul? I mean, ultimately, we now look at Deontay Wilder through the prism of a rearview mirror, in terms of once upon a time he was the most feared in terms of punch power, not in terms of technical ability, but in terms of punch power. Do you think he's being serious in what he says there?
I think that the key thing to take from that interview is, and what you got to detract from that, is that he's saying, I love it, and that's his attitude. My brother Callum always mentions Usyk and how he is and his temperament and his attitude, and he did a video or a post recently saying it's not motivation, it's discipline, and that's him. Now I think he's looking at that thinking, for whatever I've got left, I'm going to make sure to make the most of the squeeze out it rather than...
With the latest developments, even more names have entered the conversation as possible opponents for Usyk's last dance. Simon Jordan argues that Usyk took too long to make his decision, delaying the planned Parker versus Fabio fight in the process. Reports also suggest Usyk is open to facing Parker alongside Wilder, making one thing clear: for his farewell fight, Usyk is looking for the biggest possible attraction and the strongest available draw.
He gave me 2 against Fury, he gave me 2 against Dubois, and he delivered. And now I think he's earned the right to maybe take a little bit of time and make decisions for him, as Paul's just alluded to there. There's a slight bit of disappointment, if I'm honest, with the length of time that he took, because obviously that kind of affected the fight between Joseph Parker and Fabio Wardley. And I think every fighter deserves the right to hear Anu in the ring rather than via email or text or however that came for Fabio. I also, in that interview, which parts of it wasn't played there, I watched it all yesterday, and he was talking about the Wardley, whether he would fight Wardley or not, or whether he would actually favour a Parker fight, is what he was referring to.
We'll get into that. Let's leave that.
At the peak of his career, Usyk continues to receive huge praise, but the criticism is growing as well. Gareth A. Davies believes the fight with Rico was a mismatch and argues that Usyk avoided stepping in against his mandatory challenger, Cabello. In his view, that decision reflects a wider problem in modern boxing, where mandatory contenders are often left waiting while the biggest names pursue more lucrative and high-profile fights.
Boxer, but I'd like to have seen him. I mean, he's kind of said it himself. He's called out Tyson Fury. He said what this moment means to him. He's not a guy given to boasts, but he's not going to not celebrate the fact they've elevated him to full champion. But the truth is, look, in February this year, he should probably have been fighting Oleksandr Usyk for the title, rather than Rico Verhoeven fighting Usyk for the title. There are so many anomalies in our sport that are inexplicable to the layman, and it's something that observers on the sport who've come from sideways.
The biggest shock, however, is Usyk signing with Zuffa Boxing. Ariel Helwani added another major twist, revealing that Team Usyk claims it had already been in contact with Dana White about joining the new promotion. Helwani also suggested the plans may go even further, saying Dana could try to convince Crawford to come out of retirement and become part of Zuffa Boxing, adding even more star power to the project.
Saw a report from Usyk's team saying that they're talking to Zuffa. Did you guys see that? Let me tell you what.
I did, yeah.
That, again, not an up-and-comer, but if they get Usyk, I mean, this is all happening a lot quicker than even they predicted. They're talking about like up-and-comers. Usyk, Jaya Pataya.
Yeah.
Dana said in an interview that I saw yesterday, maybe with the TMZ guy, like in 6 months, I'm going to call Terrence Crawford. He doesn't believe that he should be retired. Like, now you're talking about 3 of the very best fighters on the planet.
Yes, but my confusion at all this is, my understanding ahead of time was major boxing fights with the biggest names, one-off events, and then building the league format where we have guys locked up.
Experts point to the situation involving Jaya Pataya, who signed with Zuffa while discussions continued about potentially unifying the belts. Many believe this goes against the original vision that Zuffa Boxing was expected to bring to the sport. Instead of simplifying the championship picture, critics argue the same complications surrounding titles and politics may still remain.
A caliber boxer, so I'm confused at what the arrangement is going to be and how they're going to acquire these athletes. It sounds like Jai's already signed, but then his manager is coming out and saying, no, he's going to unify belts. And I'm like, well,
that
how?
Stuff is a little bit funny.
Where is all this? How is this all coexisting? I don't understand.
Is there, someone told me their theory, which was like, he's going to win all the belts and then he's going to bin them, right?
Under the Zuffa banner, he's going to then go out and do it?
Yeah, first of all, that's going to take a year or 2 to win all the belts, right? And number 2, why would any of those sanctioning bodies, why would any of them put him in a fight.
Correct.
If they know he's going to put their belts in the garbage.
The confusion comes from the fact that fighters signing with Zuffa are still being matched against champions holding major belts. When discussions around unifying those titles begin, it puts Zuffa in a position that appears completely opposite to what the promotion originally claimed it wanted to achieve. Because of this, many people are struggling to understand Usyk's decision to join Zuffa and how it fits into the bigger picture.
The garbage can.
Yes. The whole Zuffa thing was we're going to revolutionize boxing.
Right.
No more belts from these sanctioning bodies. So why, if I was a sanctioning body, would I put Jaya Pataya against one of the champions holding one of those belts? I'm confused about how this is all going to work because I wouldn't have thought these would be the names. Usyk in a fight maybe as a one-off, but like Usyk signing with Zuffa doesn't feel like what I was imagining before. So
But
I
if
don't
you
know.
can sign him,
Oh yeah,
sign him.
Of course.
How many fights do you get out of him though? 2.
I mean, still, you're still getting him. Look,
then you get 2.
By the way, you put those fights on Netflix. Netflix wants the big fights. They have the ability to make big fights. Like I think they're going to try to do AJ Fury on Netflix.
As for Jones, who has claimed he is stepping away from a boxing fight with Usyk, he still wants to return to the UFC and compete in MMA. Chael Sonnen, however, described the entire situation as confusing, arguing that Jones currently has no clear opponent. He also pointed to reports from Helwani suggesting Jones himself remains uncertain, claiming that at one moment he demands a massive payday, and once it is offered, he changes direction.
I'm confused with what to do with Jon Jones. I think it's very clear he's going to come back, but against who? It's a really interesting situation because Jon supposedly, to fight Tom Aspinall, right, if we're going to go back in time, made a demand of $30 million and got it. According to Errol Helwani, Jon's demand of $30 million was met. And then Jon said, you know what, I just don't want to do it. Let's operate under that vein, that information is accurate information. If Jon's gonna fight, I feel like he's got to make his move and he's got to make it quickly. I feel like the number of opponents that Jon has, which are already very few.
Looking at the criticism surrounding Usyk for not fighting Kabayel, the champion has not mentioned his name as a potential opponent. He appears focused on Fury or Wilder for his last dance, but the online community has gone wild, with fans even suggesting a fight against Jake Paul. Wade Plemons reacted to the speculation, insisting there are still major fights left for Usyk to chase, and that he should not avoid those opportunities.
Fury for a belt. If we get to those fights, right? Both guys, we have Joshua fighting in July. They say Fury's going to fight again in August or September. If those guys get through their quote-unquote warm-up fights, do we do that fight for a belt? Be a lot of people watching that one anyway, but a belt potentially on the line. There's just a lot of things to consider here, especially Usyk saying, I'm stepping in one more time. But the real question will be against who? Who will Usyk take his last fight against? A lot of people online are saying Jake Paul. Oh my goodness, could you imagine if Jake Paul gets the Usyk last dance, the last fight of his career? It wouldn't be for any belts. He'd step away from him. I thought maybe him stepping away from the belts would mean he was going to sign a one-fight deal with Zuffa and rematch Rico Verhoeven. Either way, those fights don't need to be for belts because, well, you know what? Honestly, Rico deserves his rematch for the belt. I 1000% believe that. You fought him the first time for the WBC belt. You should fight him again in the rematch for the belt. So if the belts are no longer on the line, then it may be Jake Paul.
Usyk's decision has sparked a major debate, with many praising his career, while others continue to criticize his choices. Plemons insists he believes Usyk avoided Kabayel, adding more fuel to the discussion around his final fight. He also shared his thoughts on Wilder's current position, arguing that the former champion is no longer the same force he once was, and should not be the opponent Usyk chooses for his farewell fight.
For a belt, please don't let it be Deontay Wilder, because that'll be a farce. That'll be Usyk doing whatever he wants with Deontay. But hey, like I said, one of the greatest of all time in Oleksandr Usyk, he's essentially calling it quits, right? He's got one more fight, but he's essentially laying out his retirement tour. He's dropping all the belts. He's letting the heavyweight division continue to grow, and these young guys come up and actually fight for a belt, not fight to sit and wait for him to defend a belt. I think that's a good move from him. I applaud this move from Usyk versus, again, just sitting and letting the division rot. That's what a champion does when he feels no longer like he can defend, and you can call it a duck. And honestly, I'll hold my hand up and say, yeah, he ducked Kabayel. Cool. I 1000% agree. He ducked him, but it's better to duck this way
The final chapter of Usyk's career has become one of the biggest debates in boxing, with questions still surrounding who deserves the final dance. Will it be Fury, Wilder, or a surprise name nobody expects? Let us know your prediction in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more boxing updates.